So today's video is going to be different for two reasons. One, because I'm using old footage that I've just had on my phone for a long time and I've not used, and I'm just going to be doing a voiceover, and I may or may not comment on what goes on in the video as I go, but mostly I'm going to be using this video as a vehicle to express my anger towards Star Stable, because they have once again just ticked me off so bad, and I've been brewing this video for a while and I keep putting it off and not wanting to do it because I don't like to be negative. I don't want to be negative on my channel, and I don't like to be like overtly mean or anything, because I want to give Star Stable the benefit of the doubt. I think that they've made a lot of improvements lately, especially this last year, just since I've been playing. But it's like for every improvement they do, everything that they fix, there's something else that just blows up behind them. And this is something that isn't like a small petty matter. It isn't something with gameplay or anything like that. It's an actual serious issue. And I feel like they're completely dropping the ball on it and trying to sweep it under the rug, and I've had enough of it. So there's two things that I want to talk about. Actually my only two times that I've ever had to report other players in Star Stable. And both of my experiences with this have been negative. I've been so ticked at the way that Star Stable responded to me and handled it. And one of them has just happened this week, the one that I'm mainly going to talk about today, because that's what's ticking me off the most. But the other one I'm going to mention happened last year during like the Christmas, like winter festival thing. And I just feel like both things were so infuriatingly handled, and it made me so mad. And because of what happened this week, I'm over it. No, I'm just gonna tell exactly what happened, and all 7 of you that watch my videos can be mad with me. And I don't know, I hope that it sparks a discussion. I know this like thing with the chat violations and stuff comes up pretty often in like the Star Stable community, and for good reason. It's because it's a circus, it's a dumpster fire, and they are just not fixing it like they should be. And I hope that the more that we're open and talk about these things and actually say like what's going on, if we make enough of a scene over it, if we make enough noise, they're surely eventually going to do something about it, and that's the ultimate goal. So that's why I'm going to be talking about it today. So just for review, before I tell my stories, let's look at the chat rules, everyone. So this is worthless. Everybody can look at this, and yeah, it's nice that they've added it. Yeah, but it's worthless. Like, you can look at this and then immediately go and type whatever the heck you want in the global chat. And the only thing that's ever going to actually stop it and keep people from doing this is if the game does better with their chat filters and their moderators, and we all know their history with those things is not good. So let's just take a quick look at the things you're not allowed to discuss, talk about, use, ask for, etc. in the global chat. And it's the typical things like hate speech, swear words, bully, threaten, insult. And the big one here, you are not allowed to talk about anything sexually explicit. Okay, what that is even doing being in the global chat for a kids game in the first place is beyond me, but it does happen. And the fact that this is a kids game, and people, including kids and also including just absolute weirdo pervert pedophiles, are in the chats able to say and do stuff like that, and they're getting away with it, is insane. Because Star Stable is not doing even the bare minimum to fix that problem, to stop it from happening, and they, in my opinion, are not doing anything to actually protect and keep kids safe. So there's no point in me going into any kind of grave detail about the things that are happening in the global chats, and some servers are significantly worse than others. And I actually just very recently in one of my videos was saying like my server is pretty chill and I don't see problems like that. Well, I jinxed it, because it's like ever since then I've started looking at the global chat, and I don't even talk in the global chat or anything. I just occasionally will open it, and every time I do, there is some kind of horror happening in the global chat. And the fact that you can't just immediately click a button to block and report right there in the chat is mind-boggling, because literally any other online game that has a chat feature has that option. Name a single game that does not have a block and report button in the chat. Yes, Star Stable has like their little ignore button or whatever, but it's not the same. There is other online games where if you block and report and ignore the person, they will never be in your server again. And the fact that a kids game doesn't have those very basic options built right into the chat, where it's easy and simple for a child to be able to figure out and use. Like, what are they doing? They have got to fix that. You have to have that option for any game, even a game for adults, much less for kids. So just for comparison, I play Palia, which is also an MMO game, and it has a global chat, and it's not for kids. It's not specifically a kids game anyway, and I never see anything weird or even rude happening in global chat on Palia. And I have to use the global chat way more often than I would ever have to on Palia or on Star Stable, because in Palia I have to occasionally open the chat and ask, like, where is this item located, or where is this character at? And the fact that it's not a kids game and I have to use and open the chat much more often. And yet Star Stable, a kids game in which I hardly ever open the global chat, and yet every time I open it, it is something horrific happening in the global. What is going on? But I feel like a big reason that Palia chat is so much better is because the people that cause problems in global chat have already been weeded out. And they've been weeded out because Palia's global chat has features to get rid of them, and Star Stable doesn't. And also, Palia is an early access game. It is not even fully launched yet, and Star Stable has been out for like 13 years now, and they still haven't fixed this problem. Are you serious? Any game studio, especially an online game, especially a game with chat features, and especially a kids game, their number one top priority should always be their player base, and that's never more true than a kids game with online chat features. Any game should be doing their absolute utmost to protect their players and to make sure their players are comfortable and can enjoy the game that they made in peace. And this is where Star Stable just fails miserably, and they offend me to no end, because it's like they don't care one bit about their players and their players' safety. I say all of this as a grown adult. Like, this stuff that's happening in the global chat doesn't affect me because I'm a grown-up, and like, I'm not the one that's going to be victimized. Nothing's going to happen to me. But every time I see stuff like that, I'm like, there's so many kids that are having to look at this too. There's so many kids that are going to be subjected to or are eventually going to be victimized by this stuff that's happening in their game, that they are like a children's game. Like, they should be able to come online and play their little horse game in peace and not have to worry about this stuff. And they shouldn't be being introduced to this stuff anyway, because these are such young kids that play this game, and no matter their age, even if this was a grown-up game, nobody should be subjected to have to look at and read the kind of stuff that goes on in the global chat. And yes, you can argue that there's only so much a game studio can do. There's only so much chat filters and moderators are going to catch. There's always going to be things that fall through the cracks. But the difference is that I just don't see the effort from Star Stable. And that is really, really disappointing and really, really infuriating when it's a children's game. So, in summary, the chat filters are broken. We all know that. That needs fixed. And they really need to bring back moderators. But this time, do it right and make sure the moderators are like actual grown, responsible, reliable adults and not like 12-year-olds policing other 12-year-olds. That needs to be fixed, and they need to put a block and report function directly in the chat. And now for the big finale, let me tell you about my wonderful experiences with Star Staples' stellar customer support. So I'm going to start with the first thing that happened, which is back in December of 2023. It was during the Winter Festival thing, and I was playing late at night, which is probably why that I even seen this in the first place, because it was late at night and it was probably older kids or even adults that were doing this, although because of like the way it was worded and stuff, it very much came off as kids. So what it was players in the global chat, and they were saying words and vague sentences, and they were very inappropriate for a children's game. Well, they were just inappropriate in general. Like, nobody wants to see it. And like, they were just trying to one-up each other with what they could say in the chat, basically, and get away with and fool the chat filters with. And they were getting away with a lot, because people have learned that you can just like leave out or add or replace a single letter and the chat filter doesn't catch it, and you can basically say whatever you want. There's all kinds of manner of horrible things that happen in the chat, worse than what I've seen, certainly. But this was the first time that I had actually seen something myself in my own chat, on my own server, in my own neighborhood. So, because you can't block and report directly in the chat, which is stupid, we've been over this, I had to screenshot everything. And because I'm a grown-up, it's my responsibility, I feel, by default, to report this stuff, because I don't want kids to be hurt or affected by these things. So I took it upon myself, okay, I'm going to report this myself. So you go to the website and go to like the customer support thing, help, whatever it is, and you submit like your ticket and say like you want to report a player, right? I'm sure we've all had to do this at one point or another. I included the screenshots of all of this. It had the players' names. I put the server. I highlighted what they were saying. And I was nice and respectful and everything, but I sent them like a novel-length email explaining like, I'm a grown adult and I am seeing this stuff in a children's game. I'm not happy about it. There's not enough things in your game to keep children safe. You'd think because I specified I'm not a child that they would, when they reply to me, talk to me like I'm not a child. So, I send them that, and I spent like an hour writing that email because I was mad. But I tried to be as nice about it as possible. I tried to like politely and respectfully be like, here's the problems that I have. Here's what I think you should do. Please do something about this to keep kids safe. And I'm expecting, a smart reply to this at least. I want to have a discussion about this in the very least. Their stupid response was like literally one paragraph, and it was the most condescending, like just silly thing I can possibly imagine an actual company replying to an adult about something so serious. They were basically like, tee-hee-hee, we're doing our best. And I was like, tee-hee, no, you're not. I was so fuming mad. And I wish I still had the screenshots of this now, because like it is unbelievable like how belittling the way they responded was. I told them I'm a grown-up playing this game. I'm not a little kid just complaining about something. And they still responded to me like they were talking down to a little kid. Like they were having to explain things really simply and like very lighthearted, like jokey, like it's not that serious, calm down. I was so fuming mad. I wanted to just like tear my phone in two when I read that email. Which of course, it's not like I expected them to magically fix the whole entire issue overnight, but I expected them to at least give me an intelligent response. So I was mad. But I thought, okay, they've got the screenshots. There's no denying that everything in there was in violation of the chat. It was inappropriate, yada, yada. I was expecting, okay, those players have been punished somehow. They've been suspended. They've been banned, whatever. No. A couple of days later, I log on around the same time of night and go to do the Winter Village stuff. And guess what? There they all are. And they're doing the exact same thing over again. Just completely have gotten away with it. And people in the global chat were telling them, just stop talking about this, go talk about it privately somewhere else, get it out of here, we're going to report you. And they continue to do it. And they literally were laughing in the group chat like, Star Stable is not going to ban us. Like, they are doing this stuff because they know that they're going to get away with it. And that is sad. And the next thing that happened just this week is debatably even worse. I'm going to show an edited and cropped version of the screenshot that I sent to Star Stable when I reported this person. I am going to leave their username for everyone to see, though, because they deserve to be outed. So, yeah, it's not hard to fill in the blanks and figure out what was going on here, and unfortunately, it's one of the most prevalent, common, gross things that happens with the Star Stable chat and certain groups of people on here. So obviously it's not rocket science to figure out that that kind of thing should not be allowed, and that these players that are encouraging and hosting and advertising this kind of stuff in the global chat should not be allowed. They need to be banned. They need to be suspended. So obviously I reported it. I included the screenshots. I included the server and the player names, everything needed. And Star Stable, what do you think they do? So when they did respond to me, it was just to tell me that after careful review, they have decided not to take any action against the players because everything shown in the screenshots was not, in fact, in violation of their chat rules. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is what they were planning in the global chat not in direct violation of the chat rules? And if it wasn't, why the heck not? So a couple of hours after they had emailed me back, I was in a mood, and they were over on Instagram doing their little Q&A, tee-hee-hee, fun time, ask us anything. So I typed in, why did y'all just tell me that sexual content in the global chat of a kid's game is not in violation of the chat rules? That's exactly what happened. That's not an exaggeration. And of course they don't respond. They're never going to respond. They barely even acknowledge that there's a problem at all. And until we all, as the players, make enough of a scene and a fuss and a stink over this, they're never going to bother to change things, which is why I'm making this video. And I don't like to be negative. I don't like having to talk about this stuff. I'd rather just only talk about positive, fun things with the game. But this is too big of an issue to just ignore and pretend like it isn't there. So yeah, that's my long-winded, very angry opinion about this whole fiasco. I think it's a mess. It needs to be fixed. And if you've had any kind of horror stories with the global chat or with their customer support, I would love to hear it. So please leave that in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.